In for the very first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And what that means is I love helping people solve their problems, particularly when it comes to their work-related projects, their career, and melding all of that together so that they can reach the next level of who they want to be and achieve the success that they want for themselves with integrity, and staying true to their personal beliefs and values. So, all that said, I'm super excited to be here to close out this series on redefining Superwoman. This has been going on for, I think, about 4 weeks now, and I've loved every moment. I've been getting great feedback on this series. So, this is the end of this series. We'll see if we can, revive it in another format. I'm going to have to check that out since it was so well received. And if you missed it, no worries. They are recorded. You can go check everything out on the YouTube channel, or just DM me and I'll send you that link. But the link should be available through whichever social platform that you are on. But just a quick reminder of what we've been talking about in this series. It's really this whole concept that we as women in particular are supposed to be these super women, right? Like we're supposed to do all of these things all the time, and everything, nothing's supposed to bother us, and it's all supposed to be hunky-dory. And we know that not to be true, particularly in today's time frame when we're dealing with an international pandemic and things are just, all the norms are just thrown completely out of the window. So what else is a good time? When else is a good time to redefine, quote, superwoman, right? I think this is perfect timing for it. And so in that context, we've been talking about superwoman being a copycat. We get invalidated for what efforts we do have and what we do. And so there's that question of getting caught up in that fear and fraud mode when you're a successful person, successful woman. Another topic that we talked about is that, that she's always supposed to be super, right? That you're being taken for granted when it comes to getting certain things done, when it comes to accomplishing certain goals or getting certain results. And we gave a really extensive conversation about what that looks like and the dangers of that and how you can move past that. Thirdly, we then went on to talk about when Superwoman's cape gets torn, right? What happens when all of a sudden, oh my goodness, something hits, chronic stress, an illness, whatever, something happens and your Superwoman is not looking quite so perfect anymore. And then people feel free to abandon you because guess what? Your cape's torn and you're not quite so great anymore. What do you do about that? How do you approach and handle those situations? And then lastly, the last one, we talked about changing capes. When others don't like it, they don't like your new outfit, when you try to make a decision and maybe do something a little bit different, and that's not well received. So we've had great conversations about all of these things, and we're going to tie this all up today when we start redefining Superwoman, because today's topic is when the cape no longer defines you. So forget about changing it, about whether it got torn, all of that. We're talking about this cape just doesn't work at all, and I'm done with it. Right. And this was really interesting when it first came to me, and I was trying to work through position. And what came to me, it was the context of this. Superwomen, hello, superheroes are supposed to be, quote, strong. That's the whole premise, right? You're strong, you're you're able to do things that other people cannot do. And that's just the way it is. That's what superheroes are all about, right? Here's the thing. Strength really refers to and speaks to how much you can carry. What I want to talk about is resiliency. Let's talk about resiliency and about what you do when you can't, quote, carry things and carry the load that you previously was carrying. How do you adapt when that load breaks down? Right? Because that's what resiliency is getting to, about how long you can carry it out and what you do when it's time to adapt. And that really struck home for me because you can only carry a load for so long. And if you're carrying a load that belongs to someone else and yourself, whether it's personally or professionally, guess who's going to break down eventually? Because someone else is not carrying their part, right? But because you're Superwoman, you have all of these abilities and you can just quote take anything. Unfortunately, that's one of the things we talked about earlier. That can lead to a breakdown of you personally. The question is that really where you want to be and how you want to leave your legacy and how you grow, move forward in the world? For most of us, the answer to that is no. That is not how we want to move forward in the world. So what happens when you're like, I'm just tired of wearing this cape, period. It's not even about, oh, let me change and find something else. I'm like, I'm just done with this. And what can you do to bounce back? Because that is what resiliency is getting to. How do you bounce back? So I want to pull out because what really struck me was I do a gratitude journal every day. And it's a 5 minute journal situation that I love. It's literally the name of the journal is the 5 minute journal. I highly recommend it to anyone because it's more than just gratitude. It's also talking about those things. What can you do to make today great in order to achieve your goals? A personal affirmation statement, and then acknowledging at the end of the day what great things happen, not some major thing. It doesn't have to be major, but just like what are some things that really happened in the course of your day that just stood out to you? Maybe someone showed a bit of kindness or whatever, or it could have been something fantastic, right? So in that context, there's an affirmation. Little glitch there, but I was really up in the middle of this, right? So here's the thing. When you get to that point of not really knowing what it is you want to do, but it's not this anymore. That's that piece of knowing that it may get a little tough, that you're going to need to be able to bounce back, and that you can't rely solely on strength, right? We're talking about something more than that. So I was sharing with you my personal affirmation statement. And it reads, and I'll tell you how it reads now versus before. And it says, I am a resilient, creative Black woman living abundantly with ease who empowers her community and the lives of others. And I really love that it really sits strongly with me. But before I am a strong, creative Black woman. And for a long time, that felt fine because it's like about strength. But after going through a few sessions with my coach and listening and engaging in some other conversations, I realized I'm like, you know what? I'm not always strong and I don't always want to be considered strong. I've been carrying that weight for so long. But what I will acknowledge is that I am extremely resilient because things come at me. I'm able to bounce back. I find new and creative ways of addressing issues and problems, whatever that be. And so when I shifted that word from strong to resilient, man, it just really opened things up and really sat well with me. And so when I started thinking more about it, it's because of those factors of when we are like, you know what? I don't always feel strong. I don't always feel like I'm courageous or I can do that next thing. But I do know that I have the ability within me, I have the will within me to continue pursuing the goal. It may not look like it did. It may not be in the same way. And that is okay because being creative, shifting your thought patterns, all of that feeds into the strength, really, that people think they have or that they want to have, and not in the conventional way. Right. And I know that seems like a little bit of double check, but it does circle back around. Okay. It's the difference, we have those hefty bags. So it's a difference between the regular bag that can be stretched so far and then it pops. And you're like, okay, yeah, that was a good bag. But then eventually it did versus the one that's been reinforced. And you're like, what did they put in this bag that it can stretch? It seems like 2 and 3 times more. Well, we're kind of the same way, right? When you've gone through some things, when you've been stretched beyond what seems like a normal capacity, and you're no longer, quote, strong. It's starting to weaken, but you're resilient. So it means you have the capacity to expand because of the issues, the concerns that you have dealt with before. This is why I always tell folks, we have to stop looking and looking at when we things don't go our way as I'm a failure. It's like, no, you're not a failure. That was a great learning experience. This is something that I had to learn for myself, right? Because we want to mark that, and people are so quick to mark it as a failure. When something doesn't go your way, it's not necessarily a failure, right? The situation may not have worked out, but you are not a failure as a result of it, right? There's a difference between a situation failing and you being a failure. And a lot of times people want to put that on you and carry that weight. So when we're not, quote, strong enough to carry obscene amounts of weight from problems we deal with work, from issues that we're dealing with our families, then we start assuming that mentality of, oh, I'm a failure because I can't deal with all of this. And that is not accurate, right? That's a whole other conversation about what we need to do in order to reset our mindset so that we cannot carry and bear that unnecessary weight, and instead learn from those experiences, give them their proper place, and build on them so that we can move forward in the ways that we want and need to, professionally and personally. All right. So that's really kind of the thought that we're going through here today, was acknowledging that, you know, when you decide, I'm done with this cape, I'm done trying to be, quote, superwoman. I don't want to even have that title associated with me. What does that mean for you moving forward when the title that's associated with, quote, a strength becomes, what does it become instead? And I am proposing that you then adopt more of the concept and the attitude of being resilient, so that you can continue to stretch and pull and grow as you go to that next level, utilizing all of those previous experiences, good and not so good, great and bad. Use them to build upon so that you can get to where you want to be personally and professionally in a way that is going to be way more, way healthier. First of all, that's just the truth. It's going to definitely be way healthier, and that will give you more freedom. That's really the truth. When we're not carrying the burdens of other people's weight, it actually frees us up to be able to move forward in ways we might not have actually thought we could, because we were so busy carrying that other weight. We were so busy getting caught up in all of those other things and being the, quote, superhero for that person, for that situation, for that job. But when you're willing to walk away from that, when you're willing to say, that's not what I want to do anymore, that's not how I want to be defined anymore, it doesn't mean you're walking away from your strength. It means you're walking towards a more resilient you, one who recognizes that you don't have to be limited by that one definition, but instead you much more expanded version of yourself. That's going to it's just going to be a great place to learn and grow from moving forward. All right, so that's it. I hope you have enjoyed this series. I know I've had a great time working with it. I look forward to bringing it back in some format. I'd love to get your input if this really struck home for you. And as you go through the rest of the series, I love getting the feedback on it so that I can utilize it, so I can update it, so that I can perhaps bring it back to you for other purposes in a new way. So I definitely want to do that. Feel free to reach out to me, check out everything on the YouTube channel, get caught up, and let's get ready to start a new series next week, I believe, because we're going to start talking about the life lessons from the road, because we're going to talk about some lessons that were learned along the way while I was taking my daughter to college in California. Man, that's going to be it was quite a ride, and some of these lessons are going to be that way as well. All right. Take care. Thank you so much. I look forward to following up with you all again soon. Take care. Bye bye.